I remember she ran away with me to the UK once, which is kind of iconic, I think. Um, and like she was larger than life. She wore fur jackets. Like she apparently like life at the party. I knew I think she had a real zest for life. Um, which I hope that I have as well. But yeah, it's when I think about her, it's just snippets of moments. Do you know what I mean? And like, I'm sometimes afraid that I think of the memories because I'm told them, not because I remember them, in a sense. Can I even remember it back that far? Um, yeah, I mean, obviously, I came in non-dramatic fashion. My mum had cancer of the womb, while I was in her. It was a very traumatic birth. I clearly don't remember, but I'm still here. And and then from then I got diagnosed with cerebral palsy, and my mum passed away when I was 5 from cancer of the womb, um, which is obviously very difficult. But then it was just me and my dad for a while. He was like a stereotypical masculine, really old school man, born in the 1930s. I come along with my crutches, like absolutely flamboyant, like loving to dance and sing around. It was just nothing that he was used to ever, um, and I just think it was very hard for us to understand each other and where we were coming from. So it's quite ironic that I'm named after him. Do you know what I mean? Because like we are very different people. Like I do have when you grow up and you become an adult, obviously we found a happy medium before he passed away, but like throughout the adult years, and then he had a different idea about my disability. He looked at it as kind of a weakness and something that he needed to fix, where I didn't really care about it. And he couldn't understand that. And then and it made me think like maybe why don't I want to fix it more? Do you know what I mean? We never really saw eye to eye, and then obviously coming out as gay, that was another like not like kind of boundary that we had to overcome together, because I was trying to come to terms with myself. He was trying to come to terms with in his own way, and what he was taught growing up was very different to what I'm taught in this day and age. So to come to a happy narrative where we could actually in some way see eye to eye was very difficult. What was my coming out experience? I mean, I think I came out of the womb gay, to be honest. Like, I had purple crutches with a Gary Barlow sticker on one and a Michael Jackson sticker on the other. And I was like, girls, why am I gay? I mean, honestly, it's right there in front of you guys. And it's like, I used to wear trousers on my head, and my alter ego was called Jessica. But that didn't work out. She's not around anymore. uh, so yeah, I think I always had definitely a feminine side, uh, which I didn't. It never really like bothered me that I had that. I loved it. And suddenly when you go to school and you have like social normities and your groups, that you realize that like you try to fit into a certain box, and maybe your box is quite different and you won't be able to kind of make friends or fit in or whatever. So because of that, school was very difficult as well. With my dad and myself, and just coming out as gay, school was so difficult, and I got bullied a lot because I was different. And I used to want to just fit in. I wanted to, like, why was I so different to everybody else? Why did I walk different? Why did I look different? Why did I have different interests? You know, um, and it's funny now when I look back at it, because those differences are the reason that I'm sitting here today. But I would have never thought that to my younger self. I suppose internally I was really, really emotional, and felt when you're for me, my experience of being disabled, when I'm disabled, I felt really weak around that. So I tried to hide that by being like overtly kind of a dickhead to people, because I was like, if I'm a dickhead and if I like put everything on the table, then they can't hurt me almost, and it was almost a defense mechanism to make them not see that my crutches were a weakness, because at that time in my life I used to think they were, you know. So I became really like angry at the world and angry at everybody else, and just quite like abrupt with people and wouldn't kind of give them leeway. And you know, I'd say something before someone else would say it. Um, yeah, and it was not a good place for me. I wasn't really like it wasn't I wasn't in a good headspace at all. I didn't want to show people my softness because I already felt soft from what I had been taught from my growing up and my life to now. I'd already been taught that maybe I was weak. So to add to that would have been in that moment, because when you're in high school you feel like that's so permanent, right? You think that this is your whole life ahead of you, and you think that like these people are going to be around you forever and they can't see my vulnerabilities for everybody to see, where you can hide. Most people can hide theirs. So I think I overcompensated by trying to be basically a dickhead. So the dating scene and you know my kind of journey into it, it's really only where my insecurities came in when I was younger. I never really had insecurities around having this disability, or you know, walking differently or looking differently. But when I walked into a club with my gay friends, or I was going to kind of hook up, um, that's when it would really come into play. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't feel like I would be able to get somebody, and if I did get somebody, there'd be points when I didn't even fancy them and I just get with them because I'd like the recognition of someone wanting me. Um, and like you know, I didn't believe that I was kind of worthy of anybody. I always thought I was going to be on my own anyway, which is terrible. Like, and I'm only in my 30s. Do you mean like, and even to this day, that voice is in the back of my head, and that like, as much work as I've done, and to like, in terms of like building my character and like you know working on that insecurity, that insecurity is always there, niggling in the back of my head, that I will end up alone and I'm beyond my own. Do you know what I mean? And that's terrible. And I know that's terrible, and I have to stop them. I have to stop that voice in my head, that self saboteur coming in, because I know that it's always there. Like even when I'm with somebody or I'm texting somebody, I expect them to ghost me, or that it won't work out, or even if my boyfriends that I have had, because I have had some, because it seemed like I'm literally like they're like Jesus. I have had a few. I have had relationships. Like a mother of divine. I have had relationships, and even with them, I'm closed off. Do you know what I mean? I'm not very open with them. It's like I always feel that it's gonna go and end badly anyway. Um, yeah, it's weird. Like I used to think like when I got a boyfriend, I'd be like, oh my god, I'll be like Cinderella and the glass crutch, lol, glass slipper. But I know in a relationship I'm quite closed off actually. It takes a while for people to get to know me, and people have this impression that I'm very happy go lucky and an open book, and in reality I'm actually not. There's a lot there's a lot I keep to myself. Do you know what I mean? And if you get into a relationship with me, you know, that kind of like presence I put out is only kind of the tip of the iceberg. Do you know? And I think that's hard for me to unravel and to give to somebody else, and it's hard for someone else to understand. Because I'm only starting to understand it myself. But what I will say is I'm starting to realise that I do deserve somebody, and that it's also half my fault that I've been alone for this time. Do I think having a social media following helps or hinders relationships? I think it's both. I think that it can help you in so many ways. Like, can open so many doors and give you life experiences that you wouldn't normally think you'd be able to have. And it can also hinder relationships as well, where you feel like people are only with you because of the following. They only talk to you because of that blue tick. Um, and then that hinders when you're on Tinder and when you're on Grindr, because you're thinking, you're thinking, God, like, are they only talking to me because they've seen me on a show? Like, do they think they know me? Because a lot of people, because we overshare and put our lives out there, we give people the kind of right to think that they know us, do you know? And that can be difficult because sometimes I'm walking down the street and someone's like, "Hey, Paddy," and I'm like, "Did I meet them on a night out, or are they a fan?" Because that's how they'd say it to me. They're like, "Hey, Paddy," and I'm like, "Hi." And then it's this awkward thing where I'm like, "Oh my God, did I fucking get locked and meet them on a night out and I don't remember?" And they're like, "No, I follow you on Instagram." I'm like, "Oh, thank God." Um, but it's difficult. It's in my head anyway. Like that, do they want that for the notoriety of, like, not the notoriety of me? I'm not like freaking Brad Pitt, but like that I could maybe get them into a premiere, or people love social media is like a new advertising now. So like if you're seen with somebody, I don't know, you could get in somewhere else. Do you know, I've had that happen to me before. Like I had a friend that like completely used me, and I won't say any names, but completely used me for my social status. Um, and I didn't really see it coming. You know, I know he doesn't talk to me at all. Trying to kind of make it in this industry is very difficult because you're either a tick box, or people don't want to put you forward for things that aren't around your condition or around that narrative of your condition. So it sometimes feels like you're bashing your head against the wall and you have to be stronger, be funnier, be more present, because if you slip at one time, you'll be forgotten, especially when you're in a minority group. Um, so I did find that very difficult, and for a year and a half, especially after the circle, I really I went into a depression. Like I went into a really deep depression where I had imposter syndrome, and everyone thought I was like on the ride of my life, like with all this money, and I was just in my apartment being very self destructive, and most nights crying myself to sleep. So I just kind of slightly spiraled, and then suddenly I just woke up one day and I was like, "What the hell am I doing?" And I started putting my own proposals together and my own work together, and like I actually um I wrote some chapters of a book, not to be published, but like just for therapy. I had this weird, it's like an Irish Catholic male thing. Like I can't go to therapy. Like I look, I look too weak if I go to therapy, which is an absolute bullshit. And if you listen to this, go to therapy. It's great. But at the time, I felt that. So I do think it did help me, and it helped me look at the world in a I'm much lighter now, and I'm much like, I'm much more kind of happy for other people. I'm not as selfish and not as much wanting to prove my place in the world, because I have I know what I am now. I want to just get other people, and bring other people to the table who haven't had a chance. I once heard this quote that you're no one's ever gonna give you a seat at the table. You're gonna have to get your own. Well, I want to create my own table and bring everyone that hasn't had a chance, or has their like door closed on, or a minority group that they feel that they can't be seen, or like a kid that feels like they don't know who they are. I want to bring them to the table and give them a shot. So that's really why I do what I do. And I'm happy. I'm happy now, but it took me a long time to get here, and I know that it might not last forever. But in this moment, I'm happy. But the bad side to it is that like people have said that like I use my disability to have used my disability to to create this, and that I'm not even that disabled. Like I'm being like I'm basically like selling out, and I am creating a narrative around something that I'm not even that disabled. People have asked me like, can you even have sex? Why would you have a boyfriend? Do you know, like really like things about your character. And I think when you're on TV, like first dates is quite minuscule to other stuff I've done, but when you're on TV, you feel like it's going against your character because you're being judged by like a mass audience on your personality. And sometimes when you're in your friend group, you veer towards people that are like minded, right? So then when you get out into people that can judge you who don't know you, you realise that maybe you're not everybody's cup of tea. And that is a hard pill to swallow as well. Um, and it's also like, you're thinking, are they right? Do you know what I mean? Well, not about sexing, I can't have sex, but about the other thing of, like, am I using it? Do you know what I mean? And my answer to that is, yeah, but like, that it's mine. Do you know what I mean? It's given to me, and you think it's a negative thing, and I've turned it into a positive. And why can't I do that? Uh, and it's not like I'm sitting here on a pair of crutches and pretending that I just walk with crutches. Like, I do have this condition, and I've decided, and I deal with it in how I see, and how it helps me. And my big thing is, if I can help one child or one parent, like, change their mindset and go for their dream, or push their child to be, I don't know, a Paralympian, or a TV presenter, or an actor, or a dentist, or a doctor, do it. That's my job done. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's with the territory. It comes with the territory, this kind of trolling, and it will always be there. And, you know, I'll get like more. I'll get more even as I go on. Moving on from the bad side of TV and media, yeah, of course I've had great responses, and that's, got to make your heart melt. And like, I think that the more I'm in it, and the more years I'm in this, the more I realise that it's okay to be happy that you get these messages. When you first get them, my reaction was like, oh God, stop, no, no. But then when someone gave me a bad message, I'd be like, sorry, with a microscope. Like, questioning everything about myself. Being like, oh God, maybe they are right, I'm too loud, blah, 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 blah. But once someone says something nice, I'm like, oh, would you stop? And I've realised that, like, that's such an Irish thing that we've all grown up with. We're not willing to accept anything that's been said good to us, but we're willing to instantly accept anything that's said bad about us, and question our character, and question our whole lives' existence, and like how we've looked at everything because one person or two people have a slight opinion. So now I relish in the good things, and I try to respond to every single message, even the bad ones. And I think that's a good thing, and I think there has to be bad and good in everything, and that's just a part of life. But the good messages keep me going, and it definitely overweighs it. And I'm not just here for like a fad. I'm here to hopefully like change the narrative a bit, or leave my footprint, so people who are younger than me can come forward, and it won't be as hard. What would I say to 10-year-old Paddy now? I would say to trust yourself. I would say that not everyone is going to get you, but stay determined, and have fun. And that the things that you think make you kind of different and not fit in are the things that are going to help you in the future. And stay true to who you are, and stay the course. That's all I'm going to say on that. Keep them up more.